Welcome to Shameless Leadership. I'm your host, Sarah Dean. This show is for women leaders who are committed to advancing both their own leadership and the leadership of those around them. In each episode, I offer practical strategies and inspiring stories to help you become a more confident, compassionate, and curious leader. The truth is, you were born to lead. So let's start now, together. Hello, Shameless Leaders. So excited to be with you today and dig into something that's maybe a little uncomfortable. We're going to talk about doing hard things, which if you're anything like me, maybe isn't your favorite thing to do. Most of us like to do easy things, right? Unhard things. But the truth is that if we can challenge ourselves to do hard things, that we can amplify our leadership and amplify our ability to step into uncomfortable places more regularly, which expands opportunity. So if we can get used to doing hard things, if we can trust ourselves to show up in hard moments and make the most of it, and sometimes do really incredible things, even when we don't have it all figured out in advance, we really can have expansion in terms of how we're able to leverage and capitalize on opportunities when opportunities present themselves. So it's important even if you don't love it. So we're going to talk about 4 truths to hold when you are thinking about doing something that's challenging or hard. These are like invitations for you to consider as you are about to step into that uncomfortable thing, that thing where you're like, I'd rather stay home, but I'm going to make myself go do it. So I want you to also think about why you maybe have resistance to moments where you feel like you might be challenged, you might be uncomfortable, or maybe you might not know exactly what you're getting yourself into, and that's holding you back. There's a few reasons why, for women especially, or for anyone carrying any sort of marginalized identity, we can find ourselves feeling like we want to run and hide, we want to turn the other way, we maybe want to completely shut down, or we want to just, resist whatever the opportunity is in front of us because of some of the ways we've been conditioned. So let's dig into that a little bit before we talk about actual strategies and truths that we can hold when we're in these moments. So first of all, thinking through why leadership and opportunities that present themselves in leadership for women can feel really uncomfortable and can make us cast doubt on ourselves. So first is that we have been underrepresented in so many decision-making and action-taking spaces that when we haven't seen people like us doing the thing that we want to go do in, large quantities, maybe we haven't seen any women do it, or maybe we haven't seen women like us, or maybe we haven't seen very many women doing it. It's sometimes harder to know what we're going after or to emulate it. It's harder to feel like this is possible or that I can be successful in this if I haven't seen others go before me or if I haven't seen very many go before me. Also, because of this underrepresentation, we can be more prone to imposter syndrome. We can be more prone to assuming that we're not qualified. So imposter syndrome disproportionately impacts people who carry marginalized identities because we have gotten messaging over and over that we're not qualified to be in certain spaces. And so we've internalized that. Even if we know that we're strong and we're capable and we're worthy, there's moments where we have this doubt that is cast on us because we've been told to have that doubt. We've been conditioned to have that doubt. So this has been amplified by not just the lack of representation, but also against bias and messaging that we've received over time. The other piece of this is fear that we might have around being perceived as incompetent rather than actually being incompetent. So we're not actually incompetent, even though we might not have every single thing figured out when we're approaching a tough moment or a challenging situation. We're not as worried oftentimes as being incompetent as we're worried about being perceived as incompetent. And that worry about perception can sometimes cast doubt on our own ability to even recognize our competence. So I want you to be thinking about, if I'm worried about being perceived as being incompetent, is there any truth to that? Am I actually incompetent? Do I actually not have the skills that are necessary? This doesn't mean that we have to have everything figured out. We need to have some of the stuff figured out in order to muddle our way through in a lot of instances, right? That's how we learn new things. That's how we accomplish new things, is by figuring it out as we go in a lot of cases. And so there's a difference between being perceived as incompetent versus being actually incompetent. And it's often the former that makes us think the latter, that we think because of our conditioning, we think that we might be incompetent and worried about being perceived as being incompetent, when the reality is that we're not. We're very capable of taking imperfect action, being a little fumbly, figuring it out as we go, being nimble, learning on the fly, and being able to adapt, or being able to apply what we're learning in live time in order to get to where we want to go. By the way, men do this all the time, every single day. and we do this, but sometimes when we get in our own head too much, we start to doubt our ability to do it. And then the last thing that can get in our way based on our conditioning is our pressure to be over prepared and perfect in order to feel like we are quote unquote ready. And so women tend to be overdoers, overprovers, overproducers. And so we will hold ourselves back from taking advantage of opportunities because we think that we're not quite ready yet. So that hard thing, we put it off. And I was just talking to a coaching client about this today. We'll put it off and say, we're not quite ready yet. We need to do more research. We need to collect more information. We need to get our steps all in a row, get our ducks on a row, have it all figured out. And in that time that we take in trying to make it perfect and over-prepared and overdone and overproduced, we've wasted opportunity and we've wasted action and momentum where we could have been growing, and we're just stuck in preparing to grow mode. So we need to get out of that space where we are constantly over-preparing and overproving ourselves before we take action, and just get ourselves into the taking action phase, right? So when we're about to do something hard, when we're about to go take action in a way that feels maybe a little bit timid, where we maybe feel a little intimidated, where we feel like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I have, I don't know if I know all the right things just yet. What can we do? What are the truths that we need to remind ourselves about? So there's a few key things here. The first is recognizing that when someone tells us that we're good at something, believe them. When someone sees something in us, believe them. So not for most of us, I was going to say for most of us, it's not most of us, for all of us, we have these strengths that other people see in us that we have a hard time seeing fully in ourselves. And these are the exact strengths that we need to go do the thing that we want to do. So the people around us, they think we're qualified and ready way before we do, because we're like, oh, I don't know if I have it all figured out. I don't know if I have, every piece ready to go. The people around us are like, we think you're great. We think you're ready. We see potential in you. Even if we don't see that you have, have it 100% figured out, we see that you are someone who can figure things out. So when other people tell us these things, when other people say, hey, I think you're really good at this, I think you should go after that. Or I see that you're really strong in this area, do more of that. Believe them, because other people often see our strengths in a brighter, bolder way than we can see them ourselves. You don't need 100% confirmation in order to trust your value. When someone tells you, and especially when multiple people tell you over time, that you have certain strengths, it's your job to honor that in yourself. So thinking about, what have people said recently? What have people said over the last few years? What have people said over the course of your career? What have people said about certain roles in your life in terms of you being good at certain things? And then how can you be capable of leveraging those things and capitalizing on them in the moments when you have opportunities? This means embracing compliments, embracing people's ability to see us and not deflecting it, to say thank you rather than, oh no, I'm not that good at that thing, to really say thank you and really embrace and embody the things that other people identify as our strengths, to accept them as data points to reinforce our ability to take action, to reinforce our strength in leadership. So start thinking about some of those things that people say about you and some of those things that other people identify as your strengths that maybe you've heard for a long time and you've been like, oh, I'm not that great at that. And think about, what would it look like if you were to embody some of those things as truths, as indisputable truths, and take action accordingly. I know for me, I didn't see my leadership capability until a number of people started talking to me about it and reflecting back how they saw leadership, how they saw me as a leader. And when I started hearing this over time, then I was like, oh, wait, I think there's something here. And now I am very comfortable identifying exactly how I am as a leader, exactly what my strengths are as a leader, exactly what my values are as a leader, exactly what makes me and authentic as a leader, that makes me different than any other leader, because I've been really careful to recognize not only What values do I want to uphold? How do I want to take action? But I've also been really careful to embody the things that other people tell me. When people give me feedback and they're like, hey, I loved this about how you did that, or I noticed that you did this really well, or I noticed that you're really strong in this area, I take those truths and I hold them near and dear because I believe them to be true. When I believe those things to be true, better at embodying them more moving forward, and then more opportunities to show up and leverage those abilities start to present themselves. The second thing I want you, your second reminder, the second thing that truth that I want you to uphold when you are going to do something hard, when you're about to be courageous, is trust in your ability to fake it till you make it. Now, this is about doing this in an ethical way. This is not me saying like, hey, you should like fake being a real estate agent and try to go sell some houses when you're not really a real estate agent. Okay. So this is like doing this in an ethical way, but recognizing that you have the capacity to figure it out as you go in places where it's ethically okay to do that. What we don't recognize, especially if you tend to be perfectionistic, especially if you tend to be a type A, hard on yourself kind of person, is that everyone else is figuring it out as they go, that everyone else is showing up imperfectly, is taking action and then shifting and pivoting according to the feedback that they get. I started realizing this a while ago as a business owner. And once I started recognizing that the people coaching me did not have it all figured out, that the people coaching me were often flying by the seat of their pants just as much as me, I was like, oh, wait, that I don't need to have everything figured out. I'm not going to fake it in unethical ways, but I'm going to go in recognizing that I have certain skills that can get me to the next point, and I can learn as I go to then get me to the next point after that. That is how I've been able to go do all these different things. That's how I've been able to change careers, to reinvent myself, to rebrand myself, to build multiple businesses over the course of the last 22 years, is by letting myself figure it out as I go, fake it till I make it, and practicing in real time. Now, doing this in ethical ways and doing it in ways where I'm not going to actually cause any harm, but where I'm doing it in ways where I know that I can provide great value as I'm learning. I can provide things to the world without having everything needing to be totally perfect. This gives you permission to step in before you're ready, because readiness grows with action and readiness grows with learning. I can't just sit in my bubble and ever be totally ready. Some of what is necessary to be ready is to be in the environment and like feel it out a bit and test things and see like, okay, this didn't work, or this doesn't feel authentic to me, or this isn't my style. And so I'm going to do it a different way instead and practice it. I can't just sit and put it all on paper and plan it out endlessly. I have to actually be in it, living it, to get some of that growth in there. This recognition that everyone is figuring it out is such a great equalizer as well. So recognizing that this is what everyone is doing also can be really helpful in giving ourselves permission to take action, and recognizing that like, this is how everyone else does it. So why would I give myself the extra pressure of having to be like the one person in the world, in the universe, to have it all figured out before I start? The third truth I'm going to give you to hold when you are about to do something hard, when you are about to take action or be courageous, is to look at how you've already proven yourself in similar or adjacent areas. Or maybe you haven't proven yourself in similar and adjacent areas, but you know that you have certain traits that you've proven over time that allow you to figure things out when you don't know things. So this can be that success in one area transfers to success in another area or in an adjacent area. But it can also be that I'm going to try something totally new that I've never done before, and I know that I'm good at figuring things out. So this would be me when I started my first podcast years ago. And I had never done anything like that before. But what I did know was I'm good at sharing ideas. I'm good at speaking to an audience. I'm good at putting thought to paper to be able to put together a framework that I can share with someone. I know that I'm good at inspiring. I'm good at motivating people. I'd done that for 15 years as a fitness professional. So looking at these different aspects of talent and then being able to put them go into a new arena to leverage them, I was able to transfer success from these other little pockets and bring them all together into one new space to practice a new skill and then to develop and advance that new skill. So thinking through, what are the tough places that you've been before? What are the things that you've built before or cultivated before? What are the situations that you've had to navigate by choice or by chance, where you've had to show up, figure things out, learn as you go? What have you taken from that? What results have you driven in the past? Collecting that evidence as proof of what you're capable of, that is going to be key. Thinking through, maybe it's navigating conflict, maybe it's building relationships, maybe it's leading change, maybe it's growing teams, maybe it's a specific skill in a certain area. Thinking through what that has looked like and then how it's transferable. And then the last truth that I want you to hold when you're doing hard things, when you're about to do something that requires that extra bit of courage, is releasing the idea that you need to be perfect, that you need to prove yourself. So I touched on perfectionism a little bit already, but releasing that idea that it needs to be so pretty the first time around. I have gotten very used to things not being pretty and being okay with that. I had a conversation with someone a while ago. She was talking about her role at work, and she's like, I'm just so tired of being someone who always gives 120%. Because she's like, honestly, I know that if I gave 80%, that it would be everyone else's 100%. And she's like, and I would get like 40% of my energy back. What would that look like if I went from, instead of giving 120% to everything, I just gave 80%? And we had this great conversation around perfectionism and how like perfectionism just pushes us over this edge of overgiving, overdoing, overproducing. And then what are the costs in the long run in terms of our energy, in terms of burnout, in terms of, resentment and regret? So releasing this idea that we can do something 80% of the way. Most people are still going to think it's 100%, by the way. And the people that don't think it's 100%, great, they're not our people. Great, they're not people who are driving creativity and innovation. They're not people who are driving action taking. They're not people that are driving like making a decision and figuring out as you go. So recognizing that when you reject perfectionism, what are the values that you're upholding that are actually your core leadership values? When you're embracing perfectionism and you're getting stuck in perfectionism, what are the values that you're upholding that are actually maybe in stark contrast to the values that you really want to be demonstrating in leadership? Getting stuck, modeling perfectionism, telling making it look like to other people like everything has to be all figured out before you take action. And like, what does that mean to the people that you're leading in terms of your expectations of them and in terms of how they feel like they can show up for you or grow in front of you? So perfectionism is a silencer. It keeps women from taking action. It keeps women from speaking up. It keeps women from taking risks. It keeps us from stepping forward, from growing. It keeps us small. It keeps us in a bubble. It keeps us sitting down. It keeps us in these quiet spaces. That benefits a lot of people. If you're anything like me, whenever I think about my smallness benefiting someone else, I get real fired up. I'm like, you know what? I don't care how perfect or imperfect this is. In order to not play small, I'm doing this now. I'm doing this now because if I don't do this, if I wait till this is perfect, I might not ever do it. And then who's winning? And then the patriarchy's winning. The men are winning. The people who have been trying to hold back me, the people that have been trying to hold back women, the people that have been trying to hold back people who hold marginalized identities. And this is not all men, and this is not, everyone's a victim of the patriarchy. And so this is anyone who's benefited from certain groups of people having more power than others is going to win when you get stuck in perfectionism. So if I refuse to let other people win because of my perfectionism, then I'm going to take imperfect action on a very regular basis. So how can you give yourself the grace to be in that mode of learning and being messy and being visible while you're learning and being messy, which can be pretty vulnerable? How can you give yourself that permission to stop proving your worth by overperforming? That can be really vulnerable. What I will say is me going, and I've done, so what my friend was talking about and like going from like 120, giving 120% to 80%, I've done that. And you know what's happened? I've gotten a lot more opportunity. Because what's happened when I moved from doing everything at 120% to doing 80% is I was able to take more action more often and be more visible in more places. And when I'm doing that, when I'm taking more action more often, being more visible in more places, you know what's happening? More people are knocking on my door saying, hey, we want more of Sarah Dean. Hey, we want to hire you. Hey, we want to work with you. So by stopping overperforming and by stopping expecting perfectionism from myself, I opened up massive career opportunity for myself. So when you go to do that hard thing, shutting down that perfectionism, and that, especially if that's your instinct and your default, I get it, I've been there, but thinking through what are the costs of being stuck in that and what are the benefits of overcoming it. An imperfect leader is going to get way more done, have way more fun, attract more people to come with you because you're more relatable, and you're going to create more space for other people to show up fully too. When we have a leader who's hyper fixated on perfectionism, whether or not they know that they are or not, what we will notice is that relationship building is going to be really challenging. Communication is going to be really tricky amongst teams. There's going to be a lot of judgment, a lot of assumptions, a lot of criticism, and things are going to be messy, but in a quiet way where we can't collaborate. When we have decided that we're rejecting perfectionism and we can be openly imperfect, there's way more conversation, communication, collaboration. We get to be in it together. And when we're in it together, we all get to learn and grow. We get to have way more fun, but we all get to be in this momentum together. And that builds momentum, and that builds team, and that builds culture. And that ultimately leads to better results and people staying and sticking around and people growing together. So I'm inviting you to uphold these truths when you're about to do something hard, to stop shrinking when you're about to do something hard or you feel those nerves overcoming you, and to really start to lean into that sense of self-trust. This is your call to take brave action. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to have butterflies in your stomach or shaky knees. It's okay for your voice to quiver a little bit. It's okay to have to pause. It's okay to start over again and say, hey, I messed up. I'm going to restart. It's okay to do things even when they feel terrifying, because it's in doing those things, even when they feel terrifying, that everything starts to feel less terrifying moving forward. So your call to action today, the thing that I want you to do, the thing I want you to take away is, what's one scary step that you've been resisting because you didn't feel quite ready, that you were like, oh, I need to have more things figured out or be more perfect. What's that one scary step that you can take by upholding these 4 truths? What's that one hard thing that you can go do so that you can then have the win of trying? You can have the win of going after the thing. No matter the outcome, it gets to be a win. And chances are that outcome is going to be something that excites you, that motivates you, that inspires you, that makes you want to keep going, that's going to make other people pause and say, oh my gosh, you just did that thing. Like, tell me about that. Why'd you do it? How'd it go? Like, teach me your ways. So I hope this was helpful. I hope these truths were helpful. I hope that you can now go do something hard. Come back and let me know what you did. I would love to hear. Thank you for being here. Please share this episode out. Subscribe in all the places, wherever you're listening. Make sure you subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. I can't wait to be back with you next week. And until then, know that I am in this with you always. Thank you for allowing me to spend time in your ear today. If you liked this episode, be sure to subscribe to this channel. To learn more about my speaking, training, and coaching services, visit sarahdean.com. That's SARADEAN. I would also love for you to connect with me on LinkedIn at sarahdean.com/LinkedIn or on Instagram at sarahdeanspeaks. I love hearing from my listeners. Thank you for showing up for yourself today. I see you, I hear you, and I'm holding space for you today and every single day.